What is up, YouTube? Laughing Pikachu here. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing some interesting facts, information, and Easter eggs about the new Star Wars movie. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin with the first weird fact. So, as you can see on screen, we have BB-8 in the center. And apparently, if you look at the credits, BB-8 actually has two different voice consultants. The first one is Bill Hader, former SNL member. Now, it says apparently that this is not a joke. Quote, JJ effing around with this sound effects app on his iPad was attached to a talk box operated by me. It looked ridiculous, but it made BB-8's voice. At first, I tried doing a voice, but we all agreed it sounded too human, end quote. Now, apart from that, the second voice consultant that is listed is Ben Schwartz from Parks and Recreation, and so he also played a role in creating BB-8's voice. Next up, Rey's helmet. So Rey is quite literally living in the aftermath of the Empire's war with the Rebellion, as her home shows not just crashed Star Destroyers being stripped for parts, but actually making her home inside of a fallen walker. When the walker is first revealed, Rey entertains herself by watching the distant ships heading into the stars and donning an antique helmet resembling those worn by rebel pilots during the original trilogy. It's impossible to say who that particular helmet belonged to, but its former owner may not be the point. According to the alien writing on the helmet itself, the markings literally translate to RHAE, another form of the spelling of her own name. So, if the helmet was marked for her in particular before her unknown family left her behind, then its history in the Star Wars universe could hold answers to her true identity. Next up, J.J. Abrams is clearly one to give the closest to him a chance to share his blockbuster spotlight. He offered a cameo to his father and father-in-law in the big screen Star Trek reboot, and his father once again appears as captain of the Resistance in The Force Awakens. But it's his grandfather who may sound far more familiar to his fans, Carrie Kelvin. As in the USS Kelvin, the spaceship captainated by Jim Kirk's father in the opening sequence of Star Trek, and for whom the Kelvin archives of Star Trek Into the Darkness were also named. In The Force Awakens, the same reference comes when BB-8 is first discovered by Rey and freed to continue roaming into the surface. She gives him some advice, pointing in one direction and warning he should, quote, stay off Kelvin Ridge. Next up, let's discuss the Simon Pegg cameo. He may be more focused on the upcoming Star Trek Beyond at the moment, but how could Simon Pegg turn down a cameo role from his former Mission Impossible director, even if the role in question has Pegg concealed beneath a massive alien head? When the first set photos of Pegg appeared, it didn't take long to narrow down the list of possible roles, considering the character's size and presence. The cameo is actually a substantial role in Rey's overall story, with Pegg playing Unkar Plutt, the ugly fat character to whom she turns in her daily scavenged goods in exchange for food. Let's talk about Finn. So, before the movie was released, Star Wars fans knew that John's character was simply Finn. But the finished movie gave a surprising explanation for the name. Under the First Order, soldiers and stormtroopers are no longer recruited or cloned, but kidnapped as children from their families. As a result, the life of a stormtrooper seems to be the only one Finn has known, and FN-2187 the only name he's ever been given. It's Poe who decides that that's no name at all, and combines the first two letters to form the Finn nickname, but the letters should catch the attention of any fan of the original Star Wars. 2187 was the cell number in which Leia was being held aboard the Death Star. As an added twist, that use of the number was actually to nod a Canadian short film by Arthur Lipsett that he first encountered in film school. Next up, let's talk about Luke Skywalker and his floating combat remote. So, Luke Skywalker, aka Mark Hamill, would one day become the last hope of the Jedi, but he started small, trying to deflect blaster shots from a floating combat remote on board of the Millennium Falcon. He eventually got the hang of it, slapping away shots even without using his eyes, quote, taking a first step into a larger world, end quote. Han wasn't a fan of that idea, but he clearly thought that the remote was worth keeping around. After Finn and Rey have boarded the Falcon and are rummaging through its contents, Finn can be seen pulling the remote from a bag of supplies and giving it a confused look and tossing it aside. It doesn't spend much time on the scene, but for those who remember the scene from A New Hope, the memory should be triggered immediately. The final thing, let's talk about the backstory behind Poe Dameron. So Oscar Isaac doesn't actually appear in too many scenes of the finished film, once he's taken hostage and presumed dead. but he does get the chance to claim an incredible victory for the Resistance, taking down the Starkiller base almost single-handedly once the shields are dropped. It's a level of heroism that J.J. Abrams decided to name for the two women in his life. First off, he took Poe from his daughter, who used the same name for a toy bear. The pilot's last name was taken from Abrams' longtime assistant Morgan Dameron. Dameron, the real one, can also be seen making a cameo appearance in the final act, playing a surprised and worried Resistance officer. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you want to read about some more various Easter eggs, facts, and random information about the Star Wars movie, be sure to check out the links in the description below. And as usual, if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys!